Hey everybody, Josh here. Welcome back to the channel. I feel like we have been transported to the Amazon rainforest. It has been an absolute monsoon here in Kentucky, specifically the Louisville area. We've been under flood warnings for a couple days. It's been raining nonstop. I think estimates are that Louisville's to get like a foot of water. There's a lot of beekeepers in this area, sadly, that have lost some colonies. I don't know about a lot, but I've seen some posts here and there about some colonies that were underwater. Just terrible stuff. It's just, I'm telling you, it's been raining, raining, raining. And when you live this close to the Ohio River, you know, flooding can be bad. So we're not working bees today because they'd be pretty angry. So instead, we're in the shop, and I thought I've been promising this video for a while now. And I want to show you guys the Apimaye pollen trap / bottom board for wooden hives. This is not a paid promotion. I bought every single Apimaye bottom board that you've seen on my channel with my own good hard-earned money. These, I'll go ahead and tell you what these retail before I get into it. They are $65 on Apimaye's website, but the more you buy, they do give you a bulk discount. And I think the maximum discount, they knock $10 off each one if you get 6 or more. So you can get these down to $55. Not the cheapest, but obviously I think they're worth $55 because not only do I have maybe 6 or 7 of these, eventually I'm going to switch every single one of my colony's bottom boards to this Apimaye bottom board. And I'm going to tell you why, because I think they're fantastic, well-designed, very versatile. Apimaye is kind of known for some innovative bee hive equipment. They're always trying to push the envelope, make things better, make things more efficient. As an engineer, I really appreciate that. That's kind of how my mind works. I think they're based out of, is it Phoenix, Arizona, if I remember correctly? But yeah, they you know, their customer base is international. So let's go ahead and take a deep dive into this, and I'll explain why I like them so much and why you may want to consider adding them to your operation. So this is what it looks like. Somewhat heavy. I don't know. What do these weigh? Maybe 10 pounds or so. They're made out of plastic. They've got a nice built-in landing board, which, you know, my wooden bottom boards kind of have, but it's not as nice as this one. I feel like this one has a lot more area. It's got a little dip right here with slits in it, so water won't get trapped. You know, water will go right through, especially like maybe ice and snow would melt through there, so it doesn't clog up the entrance. Here's the entrance into the board here. Here's another thing that I really like, built-in entrance reducers. It does not get any easier than that. I mean, literally 2 seconds instead of, well, I've got my normal wooden entrance reducers over there. Let me go grab one real quick. Give me 2 seconds. Watch out, Colt. Watch out. Watch out, bud. So if you look at a traditional entrance reducer, you've got, let's see if this is facing you. Let's see. You could completely, no, you can't completely close it off. So you either have wide open with no entrance reducer, you put it this way, which is a 4-inch entrance reducer, or you rotate it this way, which is just like a 1-inch entrance reducer, which I keep all mine this way. But the challenge with this is you literally have to disturb the bees. You got to pull it out or put it back in. Bees don't really like you messing with the entrance to their hive, right? It's a little bit more time consuming, and nothing is as easy as just doing that. Plus, you could take it down to just a couple or wide open. The other nice thing is, and thank God we don't have to deal with the murder hornets, commonly referred to as the murder hornet, which is really the Asian giant hornet, which that thing is like that big and kills honeybee colonies over in Japan and is a significant threat to any feral or natural honeybee colonies out there and maintain colonies such as ourselves. You know, here in the United States, the murder hornet was reported in the Seattle area. It was successfully tracked and eradicated. So to my knowledge, the United States doesn't have any murder hornets yet. Now, we do have that yellow-legged hornet, which I don't think actually goes inside the colony like the Asian giant hornet does. And literally, like, one hornet can kill thousands of honeybees by itself. It's not even a match. I think the yellow-legged hornet just kind of hovers on the outside and picks off the bees as the foragers dart out and fly out, I think. Don't quote me on that. But my point of explaining that is Asian giant hornet can't fit through here. Cannot fit through here. This entrance is almost like, well, it is. It's a mouse guard as well. A mouse can't fit through there either. Only worker bees can fit through the bottom. And you're thinking, okay, Josh, but what about drones? Well, they thought about that. There's 2 larger holes right here at the top for drones to be able to get in and out of. But you ain't get, even if you're a yellow-legged hornet and they do go inside the colonies, they're not fitting through that. So that's another advantage. And the fact in the wintertime, this is a mouse guard. So you don't have to take a piece of hardware cloth and staple it up against your 4-inch entrance reducer to keep mice out, right? So that's another advantage. Let's talk about the fact that it is a screen bottom board. We'll go ahead and remove this, and I'll tell you what this is here in a minute. Okay, we'll take that out. So it is a screen bottom board. Now, in my experience, the bees will propolis some of this up. Not all of it, and they're probably doing it to control their own ventilation, right? But I have experienced on some of these when I pulled them out of the yard when they've been in use for a couple years, you will get some propolis kind of junk on here. You can just take a screwdriver and pick it out. It's really not that big of a deal. But yeah, it is a screen bottom board. If that's part of your apiary practices, your IPM, mite drops, well, there you go. Let's say you want to test for mites. This is the what I would call the IPM board, and it inserts very easily right here in the back. Now, whenever you're not engaging the pollen trap function of this, which I'll cover here in a second, they give you this red little piece of plastic here that you want to put in the back, because if you don't, bees will find this and they will start to use the rear as an entrance into the colony. So this just keeps any foragers, worker bees from coming in and out of the back of the colony. Now, let's say you want to trap some pollen, all right? Now, there's different practices on this. Me personally, when I want to harvest some pollen, I only do it a few days at a time because it can really stress the bees out when they're not able to get pollen into the colony where they need it to feed their young, right? Obviously presents a stressful situation. And also, also it can cause the colony to be nutritionally deficient, which you clearly don't want. Now, if you only do that a couple times, for a few days, it's not going to set them back significantly. Plus, if you've seen my other videos, I oftentimes have an upper entrance, whether that be one of those discs for my honey supers, or the little slit on the inner cover. I'll sometimes let bees go in and out that way. There's bees that are bringing back pollen that go in that entrance. So it's not like you're completely eliminating any source of pollen coming in the colony. That would be devastating. But my point is, in this beekeeper's opinion, I know beekeepers that do this, so it's just my opinion, I would not leave pollen traps on 24/7. I think it causes too much stress to the colony. So with that said, here's a little pollen basket, collection basket. It goes right here inside the IPM board, just like that, okay? And you push this back in. I think I missed the slot there, yeah. This is hard to do, looking over like that. Okay, so now that's in there. And then this is the magic piece that collects the pollen. So all these little holes are perfectly sized such that a worker bee can squeeze through here. But as she walks through here, the little pollen baskets on the back of her leg fall off. And so this pollen trap goes in right here, just like that. okay? And so the foragers that have the pollen, they come in here, and you can see when they come in that entrance, they have to walk through here, and the only way they can get up into the colony is to come up through one of these holes. And when they do come up through one of those holes, the little pollen, the little balls of pollen that's on their back legs will fall off, fall down through that, through this, well, kind of like a screen bottom board, but fall through these slits here and collect in this pollen basket. So let's say you've had this on for a couple days. You don't even have to open the colony to collect the pollen. You just walk behind the hive like this, pull the little tray out, and boom, you'll have tons of gorgeous, beautiful little pollen, colorful, all sorts of different colorful pollen right here on the little collection tray. It's really slick. And they even thought about, okay, Josh, but what about drones, right? There ain't no way a drone bee is going to fit through these little bitty holes. And some of you that use like queen excluders, you've seen where like drones will get stuck in those queen excluders because they're really just meant to keep a queen out. The worker bees are meant to pass through, but the drone is kind of, you know, in the middle, a little bit too big, a little bit too fat, and it gets stuck in those. Well, again, they strategically place these drone holes above the pollen trap. Well, I'll call this the hallway. The pollen trap hallway that all the workers have to go in, and then up through these holes, drones get to come right in and out right here. And they will and do find these two small entrances that a drone can fit through perfectly. Now, will a worker bee find those? Yeah, I mean, of course. But if you guys watched your hives, almost you see every single worker bee naturally just want to go right here in the bottom. They're not going to fly up if they can get in this way. It's the drone that's like, I can't get in here, I can't get in here, and then they try, oh, I got in here, right? So anyway, that's been my experience. What else? I mean, that's pretty cool, isn't it? I mean, I think it is. So let's talk about how to secure these to your wooden 10 frame deep. Oh, that's another thing. Much to my friend Laura's chagrin, Apimaye does not make anything for 8 frame woodenware. So if you're one of those 8 framers, you know, unfortunately, they don't have any products for you. I don't know if they plan to ever go to 8 frame stuff, but they currently only do 10 frame. So you can put your deep directly on this bottom board, which is what I have in my apiary with some of them right now. But same said friend, Laura, and one of my other friends, Dawn, have been trying to convince me to get these slatted racks for years. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on what these slatted racks are. I'll save that for a future video. I've never used them before, and I'll be using them for the first time in my apiary. But there's a lot of advantages and pros that adding these slatted racks to your colony can provide. And I'll touch and go over those in a future video. But the reason I'm mentioning it now is because I've attached my Apimaye to the slatted rack. And so you can see it still doesn't impact anything. The bees can still come up through here. They come up through the slats. But what's nice is Apimaye, every one of these bottom boards comes with like 6 screws. And that's how you secure it. 2 in the front here, right there, that goes into your woodenware. And then 2 in the bottom, here, 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 and here, that go up into the wood. And they even have, let me show you on camera here. They even have the holes, the screw holes, a little bit offset just to make sure. Can you see that? I know the lighting's not great. But just to make sure, see that? There's actually 3 different holes there, and they're all slightly offset. So if you need the screw to be a little bit more to the left, a little bit more to the right, they've thought about that because you don't want to split the wood. You want the screw coming up right in the middle here, not right on the edge where the screw is going to split the wood anything. And not every single piece of 10 frame equipment is made identical, right? There's minute little differences. Apimaye has thought of that and compensated for it. So this will be my setup. A bottom board, slatted rack, 10 frame deep that you just set right on top of the slatted rack. And then, of course, supers, inner cover, outer cover, and you're good to go. So let's talk about what I see negative or con or downside of these. I got my first ones 2, maybe 3 years ago. So they've been out in the elements here in Kentucky, USA for, few years. And they are starting to show some wear and tear. So I think that's the downside. I don't know what the expected life expectancy is of these bottom boards / pollen traps, but I suspect they're not going to last as long as just plain woodenware that's been painted. So that's kind of a trade-off. And these things aren't cheap. So, I mean, if it was only lasted 5 years, I'm not paying $55, $65 every 5 years to recycle, 20, 30 of these throughout my apiary. That's not happening. I need these things to last, quite frankly, a few decades. I mean, I want to get at least 20 years out of these, but, before, and if I don't, that could be an absolute deal breaker for me. So longevity is important. I don't know how long these will last. I can just say that, Mother Nature and the elements is tough on things. And you can just see where the plastic on the ones that have been outside, it's a little bit worn. It's still perfect. Everything works perfect. Everything is functional. I don't see the plastic isn't cracked or anything. So I do think it's well designed. I wonder about the longevity. God, look, you can, instead of showing you upside down, I could just show you here where you can see the holes are offset. I just now noticed that. I would love to try Apimaye's normal line of stuff. So they make deeps, they make supers, they make them insulated. So the outer edges here is they actually have an insulating material in the plastic. It's pretty, like I said, they're pretty inventive. The ingenuity is nice. I would love to try some of those. I'm not sure how expensive an entire hive setup is, but I am happy that they made this for woodenware because they do not sell woodenware. Everything that they manufacture and make is plastic. So just full transparency, I want to put out what I perceive as maybe the one downside. I just worry about how long these are going to last, but I'm willing to give it a try. I think, if they last, they're worth every penny, even at $55, because I love the versatility of these. I think, they'll improve my overwintering success. The fact that this tray really sits flush pretty much turns this from a screen bottom board to a solid bottom board, which is better for overwintering success, right? Some of my colonies, those old wooden bottom boards that I have, they're screen bottom boards, but there's this much of a gap between the bottom of that screen and the corrugated cardboard IPM board that I put in there. And I'm sure in the wintertime that gets a little drafty under there. You're not going to have that issue with these. So I'm hoping, this improves my overwintering success. If you all watch my channel, you'll know that I lost half of my colonies this year. 9 out of 18, first time I've ever lost colonies. Very likely beekeeper fault. I think there's some management practices I could do better. Maybe providing more insulation, switching to some better bottom boards. Even though I treated for mites several times, I don't know, monitoring mites even closer, which is likely what took the colonies out. Just because it's a good guess. It's a good guess because mites are responsible the vast majority of times for colonies collapsing in the winter. So anyway, back to this. I think it's a great product. I would recommend it to anyone to give these a try. I was talking to our local guy, Chris Palmer, I think is his last name. He's a manager at our local Dadant shop, and he's a big fan of these as well. We were kind of talking about what both of us like about them, and we have a lot in common with that. But he agreed. His were showing a little bit of age too. Not terrible, just we both noted that as something to keep an eye on. So, all right, I think that's it. I just wanted to do a quick video. I've been promising to talk about these pollen traps for a while. We're getting ready to hit, this is the first week of spring. We're getting ready to, the flow is just around the corner. There's going to be pollen coming in left and right. So I will be engaging the pollen traps. So stay tuned for a future video where I will show you what it looks like when the bees are coming in, how the pollen gets knocked off, and I'll show you what the pollen looks like when you collect it. I'm going to have to invest in a pollen cleaner. It's an interesting tool. Lysin has a really cool one, of course. And it gets all the bee parts and stuff that you would not want out of the pollen, so that it's another value added product that I can sell at the farmer's market or sell to my customer base that wants to, some people really like pollen for the added allergy benefits. They'll put a little bit in their yogurts and stuff. It tastes terrible by itself, so it's not something you would want to just sit there and take a spoonful of pollen. It tastes like chalk. But I think if you put it in a smoothie or something like that, would be beneficial. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys like this video. Go ahead and check out Apimaye's website. I'll put a link to this down in the description in case you want to give one a try. But hope you guys liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. God bless you and your bees. Hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I'll see you on the next video.